They say one family runs Houston, the kind of power that even the police don't question. But Charleston White just called them out, and now the whole city's holding its breath. What if I told you there's a family so powerful in Houston, even the mayor's office makes calls when their name comes up? Charleston White didn't just say it, he dared them to stop him. This isn't just about rap beef, this is about who really runs Houston. White says he's not Jay, Prince, not scared of police, not scared of silence. But after what he said, maybe he should be. Houston, Texas, a city built on pride, power, and presence. But right now, that energy's being tested. Charleston White, never one to stay silent, just aimed his latest fire straight at one of Houston's most respected families, Jay, Prince Sr. and Jay, Prince Jr. And when Charleston calls someone out, it's never just talk. It's a storm waiting to hit. It all started over what seemed like a small thing, a postponed event. But somehow, it's turned into a full-blown clash involving city officials, police departments, and serious accusations of control and corruption. Charleston claims he got a call straight from Houston's mayor's office, and even the gang unit, warning him about tension with Jay, Prince. But instead of backing down, he doubled down, saying, "The Houston Police Department can't scare me. Y'all can't silence me." That one statement set social media on fire. Within hours, clips of Charleston's live stream started spreading across YouTube, Instagram, and X. People were asking the same question: is Charleston exposing something real that others are too afraid to talk about, or is he just poking a hornet's nest that might sting back? To understand why this hit so hard, you have to know who he's calling out. Jay, Prince isn't just any name in Houston. He's the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, one of the most respected and feared labels in Southern hip-hop history. He's a man who built an empire from the ground up and helped launch artists like Scarface, Bun B, and the Ghetto Boys. His name carries serious weight, not just in music, but in the city's culture, politics, and even the streets. His son, Jay, Prince Jr., has taken that legacy and turned it into a brand of its own, Mob Ties. It's not just a crew, it's become a symbol in Houston. To some, it means loyalty and power. To others, it's a reminder of how influence can blur the line between business and the streets. So when Charleston White decided to challenge the Princes publicly, it wasn't just another celebrity beef. It was a direct shot at one of the most respected families in Southern hip-hop. And in a city like Houston, that's not something people do lightly. Charleston said the whole situation started when he was scheduled to speak at a youth mentorship event in Houston. But right before the event, organizers started receiving calls not from fans or trolls, but allegedly from city officials. According to him, those calls came from the mayor's office and the police department, warning that his ongoing tension with Jay, Prince, could make things unsafe. Charleston took that as proof that the Princes were pulling strings behind the scenes to keep him out of the city. He went live fuming, accusing them of trying to silence his voice and control who gets to speak in Houston. "The city of Houston is scared of Jay, Prince," he shouted. "But I ain't. I'm not one of them." He claimed that even the police told him they were hesitant to get involved because of how much power the Prince family holds locally. "How y'all supposed to be the law," he said, "but y'all scared of another man." That line, raw, defiant, and challenging, instantly went viral. Some saw it as Charleston standing tall against corruption. Others called it reckless, saying he was tempting fate and putting himself in danger for clout. But Charleston didn't stop there. He kept posting, dropping screenshots, and sharing messages that he said proved how far the influence of the Prince family reached. According to him, this wasn't about rap anymore. It was about control, about who really runs Houston. He accused the Princes of hiding behind a powerful image, using their connections to avoid accountability while ordinary people faced consequences for much less. "If this happened in Atlanta," he said, "it would have been a RICO. If it happened in New York, it would have been a RICO. But in Houston, it just disappears." That statement hit deep. Many people online started echoing the same sentiment, questioning how certain cases, like the tragedy involving Takeoff, seemed to fade without real resolution. Charleston's comments gave voice to what others were whispering, that maybe, just maybe, there's a layer of protection surrounding the Prince family that most people can't see. Of course, those are still just claims, nothing proven. But that hasn't stopped the debate. Social media split into two camps almost overnight. One side says Charleston is reckless, a man picking fights with people far more powerful than him, risking his life for clicks and chaos. The other side calls him brave, the only one bold enough to say what everyone else is thinking but too scared to admit. And that's the thing about Charleston White, love him or hate him, you can't ignore him. He's built his whole platform on being unapologetically outspoken, saying the things others won't touch. He's not polished. He's not politically correct. But his words cut through because they come from a place of conviction. Still, even his supporters admit that he walks a dangerous line. Every time he goes live and drops another bombshell, he's poking at a legacy that's been respected for decades. And in a world where reputation is everything, that kind of challenge doesn't just disappear quietly. Meanwhile, the Prince family has stayed completely silent. No public response, no interviews, no social media statements. That silence has only fueled more speculation. Is it a power move, a way of saying Charleston's not even worth acknowledging? Or is it strategy, a quiet attempt to let the fire burn out on its own? Either way, the tension hasn't gone away. In fact, it's growing. Each new post, each viral clip, keeps dragging more attention toward Houston's power structure, how deep influence really runs in the city, and who's brave enough to test it. At this point, Charleston's battle isn't just with Jay, Prince, or his son. It's with the entire idea of unchecked power. He says it's not about hate, it's about truth. I'm not scared of no man, he says. I'm scared of silence. Because silence is how corruption wins. Whether people see him as a fearless truth-teller or just a chaos maker, one thing's for sure, he's sparked a conversation that's bigger than both him and the princes. A conversation about power, loyalty, and who really runs things behind the scenes. And as the debate rages on, the world's watching to see what happens next, whether Charleston White's defiance turns into a movement, or whether he finally bites off more than he can chew. For years, Jay, Prince Sr. has been viewed as a legendary figure in hip-hop, the man who built Rap-A-Lot Records and helped put Southern rap on the map. His name carries weight, not just in the music world, but in business, culture, and the streets. And his son, Jay, Prince Jr., has kept that legacy alive, building his own reputation in Houston's scene. But Charleston's saying something different. According to him, the princes aren't the mob bosses people make them out to be, and he's not afraid to call out what he sees as fake power and manipulation. In his words, Houston's a player town, homie. Ain't no one man running it. That kind of talk doesn't come without risk. You can feel the tension in his voice as he speaks about being warned not to come to Houston, even claiming that officials and community leaders are too scared of the Prince family to speak up. But Charleston White isn't built to stay quiet. His story runs deep, from a rough Texas upbringing to prison time that changed his life. He came out of that system raw and unfiltered, speaking his truth to anyone who'd listen. Some call him a troublemaker, others call him a truth-teller. Either way, he refuses to bow down. Over the years, he's turned his pain into purpose, becoming a voice that calls out hypocrisy, fake street codes, and the darker sides of fame and power. Still, not everyone agrees with his methods. Some say he's fighting for the people, others believe he's just chasing chaos for attention. Now, with his latest rant targeting one of Houston's most powerful families, everyone's watching closely. Is Charleston White about to uncover something real, or is this the spark that lights a fire too big for anyone to control? One thing's for sure, when Charleston White starts talking, cities start listening. Jay, Prince Sr. built an empire. His son, Jay, Prince Jr., carried it forward, expanding the family name beyond music into business, nightlife, and their signature Mob Ties brand, a symbol that runs deep through Houston's culture. Together, they represent legacy, loyalty, and leadership, figures whose power stretches from studios to city halls. But now, Charleston White has stepped up and called them out loudly. And everyone's wondering, why now? According to Charleston, Mob Ties isn't the force people make it out to be. There's no such thing as mob ties, he said. It's just a name, a story people tell themselves. Ain't no real mob. That's like Malibu's Most Wanted type stuff. It's bold talk, and it's dividing the streets. Because this isn't just a feud between two personalities. It's a clash between two worlds. On one side, you've got Charleston White, the truth-teller, the agitator, the man who built his platform on calling out what others are too afraid to say. On the other side stands the Prince family, symbols of old-school power, respect, and the legacy that helped shape Houston's entire hip-hop identity. When rebellion meets royalty, things don't just heat up, they explode. Charleston claims that after his comments, even the city itself got involved. I got calls from the mayor's office and the gang unit, he said. They told me I got a problem with Jay. Prince said they scared of him. but I told them y'all don't scare me either. Those words sent shockwaves online. Because Charleston wasn't just name-dropping, he was calling out a system. He accused Jay, Prince, of using his political reach to pull strings behind the scenes, saying the Houston Police Department has been protecting rap-a-lot records for years. To him, this isn't just personal beef, it's about power, control, and who really runs the city. And here's what makes it even more intense. Charleston didn't just stop at the father. He came straight for Jay, Prince Jr. too, the man known for waving the mob ties flag high. In Houston, Jay, Prince Jr. has long been viewed as untouchable, someone you don't test unless you're ready for consequences. But Charleston? He's not backing down. He said, "Ain't no one man running Houston. Not Jay, Prince, not nobody. Houston's a player town." That's not just disrespect, that's defiance. And it's turning into a showdown between a man who built an empire and another who's ready to tear down myths. Some people dismiss Charleston as just another loudmouth chasing attention. Others see something more, a man with nothing left to lose, and that makes him dangerous. Because when someone's got nothing to lose, they'll say everything. Charleston White is the kind of person who says out loud what everyone else only dares to whisper. And now, with his sights set on one of Houston's most powerful families, the city's watching closely, wondering if this is just noise, or the start of something much bigger. It's more than just a fight between Charleston White and the Prince family, it's a battle over control. Who really runs Houston? Who decides what stories get told, and who gets silenced for speaking out? That's the question echoing through every comment section right now. Is Charleston just stirring up chaos for views, or is he exposing something much darker, a truth about fear, politics, and power in Houston? For Charleston White, saying what others won't isn't new, it's his whole identity. Once a street hustler, now an unapologetic social media firestarter, he's turned his past pain into fuel. His words are raw, unfiltered, and sometimes brutal, but always real. You either love him or you can't stand him, but you can't ignore him. He feeds off controversy like it's oxygen. And that's exactly why this clash has everyone talking. On the other side stand the princes Jay, Prince Sr. and Jay, Prince Jr. They're not just names in Houston, they are Houston. Jay, Prince Sr. built Rap-A-Lot Records from the ground up, blending business, street wisdom, and respect to become an institution in Southern hip-hop. His son, Jay, Prince Jr., carried that legacy into new territory, nightlife, business, and the famous mob ties movement, a symbol of Houston's deep culture of loyalty and influence. Together, they represent power, discipline, and a code that runs generations deep. But Charleston's not impressed. He calls mob ties a story people tell themselves, not a real mob. He's mocking their image, saying they've become more myth than muscle. Then things got personal. Charleston claims he was banned from a Houston youth mentorship event, not because of scheduling issues, but because of power plays. According to him, the princes used their pull to keep him out completely. He went live in a fury, accusing them of using politics and police influence to silence his voice. "They scared of my words," he said, pacing in front of the camera. His tone turned darker with every sentence. That's when the situation crossed a line. He called out Jay, Prince Sr. and Jr. by name, mocking their reputation, saying they've turned Houston into a city ruled by fear, one where even law enforcement shows respect to Rap-A-Lot before enforcing the law. And he didn't just talk, he made sure people knew he meant business. In one live stream, he flashed his weapon on camera, saying he wasn't bluffing. He wanted the world to see he wasn't backing down. This isn't just a feud anymore, it's a collision of two worlds. On one side, the princes, symbols of legacy, respect, and control. On the other, Charleston White, the loud, fearless voice who refuses to bow to anyone. Some say he's reckless. Others say he's the only one brave enough to speak the truth. But one thing's clear, when Charleston White steps into a fight, he's not just arguing for attention. He's challenging the entire system that decides who gets to hold power and who's forced to stay silent. When word got out that Charleston White and Jay, Prince, were having issues, even the city of Houston started paying attention. Charleston says officials reached out, asking, "Hey, we hear there's tension between you and Jay. Prince, do you really want to start this right now?" But the event organizer, Miss Pap, wasn't backing down. She told them, "I'm not canceling anything. My event's still happening." According to Charleston, she mentioned the mayor's office was getting flooded with phone calls about him, people warning that trouble might follow if he showed up. Charleston brushed it off. "That's just haters stirring the pot," he told her. But deep down, he knew this was more than noise. When he was officially cut from that Houston Youth Mentorship event, he didn't stay quiet. Instead, he went live furious and started dropping screenshots and leaked messages from organizers, claiming they proved everything he'd been saying. The internet went wild. Within hours, social media was filled with debate. Was this proof that powerful people were trying to silence him? Or was Charleston just spinning another story for clicks and clout? Either way, it worked. What should have been a small local issue exploded into a national headline. YouTubers, podcasters, and even Houston's local radio were covering it nonstop. And while Charleston was talking loud, the princes said nothing at all. No interviews. No posts. Not a single public comment from Jay, Prince Sr. or Jay, Prince Jr. That silence spoke volumes and only fueled the fire. Some saw it as a calculated power move, a way of saying, "We don't respond to noise." Others wondered if their quietness was strategic, letting Charleston burn himself out while they stayed above the drama. But inside Houston, not everyone was laughing it off. A few community voices admitted what most wouldn't say publicly, that there might actually be a little truth hidden inside Charleston's madness. And that possibility is what keeps people watching. Then Charleston pushed things even further. He accused the Prince family of having deep ties with Houston's police, even claiming officers were on their payroll. He pointed to past public fights involving Houston rappers, saying, "That's why the police never step in, because they work for Rap-A-Lot." It was a bold claim, one that shook the entire city. The Houston Police Department never confirmed or denied his accusations, which only made the situation more mysterious. Now, people are asking hard questions. How much power does the Prince family really have? Do their connections stretch beyond music and business, deep into politics and law enforcement? In the middle of all this chaos stands Charleston White, loud, defiant, and unafraid. To some, he's reckless. To others, he's the only one speaking truth. But one thing's for sure, when Charleston White goes to war, he doesn't just fight people. He fights entire systems. The city of Houston was already buzzing when word got out that Charleston White might show up, and not everyone was happy about it. Calls started pouring into the mayor's office, warning that Charleston and Jay Prince had problems brewing. Miss Papp, the woman organizing the event, got the message loud and clear. Hey, maybe this isn't the best time to have both names in the same mix. But she stood firm. "I'm not canceling my event," she told them. Charleston respected that, even though he could feel the tension building. "All right," he said, "I'll chill for now." Still, that moment lit a fuse. Charleston wasn't the type to back down quietly. For him, this wasn't just about one event, it was about standing up and refusing to be silenced. What came next was chaos mixed with confidence, the kind of raw, unfiltered energy that made Charleston impossible to ignore. After being dropped from the Houston Mentorship event, Charleston went online and started posting screenshots and leaked messages. He claimed they proved everything he'd been saying about being blocked. Those posts spread like wildfire, turning a local issue into a national conversation. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know, was Charleston exposing something real or just stirring drama for attention? Either way, it worked. What should have been a forgettable controversy turned into headlines across social media and local radio. But what really fueled the fire was the silence from Jay Prince Sr. and Jay Prince Jr. Neither of them said a single word. No posts, no interviews, nothing. And that silence only made things louder. Fans were split. Some said the princes were showing strength by staying quiet, letting Charleston talk himself into a corner. Others thought it was a power move, a way to keep control while making Charleston look desperate. Houston itself was divided. Some locals brushed Charleston off as a loudmouth chasing clout. Others whispered that maybe, just maybe, there was truth in what he was saying. And that small hint of truth kept everyone watching, waiting for the next explosion. Charleston didn't stop there. He started pointing fingers at the Houston Police Department, accusing them of protecting the Prince family. He questioned why certain investigations never went anywhere and why the princes seemed untouchable. His claims shook the city, especially since the police stayed silent too, neither confirming nor denying a thing. That silence added another layer to the mystery. The deeper people looked, the more they started to see how far the Prince family's reach extended, from the streets to city politics. Some insiders even warned Charleston that he was crossing dangerous lines, saying his words could spark something real. But others saw it differently. They said Charleston was simply saying what everyone already knew but was too afraid to speak out loud, that power in Houston had gone unchecked for too long. Social media split into two camps. One side called him reckless, saying he was picking fights with people who could easily crush him. The other called him brave, a man unafraid to challenge the so-called untouchables. Either way, Charleston stayed trending. His feud with the princes dominated headlines, and every live stream or rant only pushed his name further into the spotlight. But beneath the drama was a bigger question: was this just another internet stunt, or was he exposing how deep power really runs in Houston? For decades, J. Prince Sr. wasn't just a music mogul. He was a respected name in business, community work, and even political circles. By calling him and his son out publicly, Charleston wasn't just poking the bear. He was testing the limits of an empire that had long been untouchable. And in his eyes, there's only one way that happens: if someone on the inside is protecting them. He compares it to what you see on the streets every day, a police car running a red light just because it can. When you're working with the feds, he says, you get to break the rules and walk away clean. That's what makes him so sure, at least in his opinion, that Mob Ties is cooperating with federal authorities. He's careful to say allegedly, because legally, he has to. But he doesn't hide how strongly he feels. To him, there's no other explanation for how certain people seem untouchable. You can't just get away with murder and extortion unless someone's protecting you, he says. That only happens when you're working with the feds. Charleston goes further, saying this protection seems to only apply in one direction. According to him, it's used to control and intimidate Black artists, promoters, and entertainers in Houston. He points out that no one outside that community, no big-name executives or industry figures, ever get told to check in when they come to the city. To him, that's proof that something bigger is at play. He claims Mob Ties uses fear to keep power in the streets while hiding behind federal protection to stay legally untouchable. And in his view, that makes the whole system dangerous, not just for the city's artists, but for the community itself. Charleston's tone isn't just angry, it's disappointed. He says it feels like betrayal, like people using their power to turn on their own. You're telling on your own people, he says, and using the same system that targets us to keep yourself safe. He believes that's the real problem, not just crime or fame or beef, but a cycle where influence and protection replace accountability. In his eyes, that's what makes Houston's power structure so complicated. And whether people agree with him or not, one thing's for sure, Charleston White has once again thrown gasoline on a conversation most people are too afraid to start. Charleston White says it plain: Mob Ties isn't what people think it is. In his eyes, they're not some untouchable street power. He believes they're working directly with law enforcement, the police, and even the federal government. To him, that's the only way to explain how they keep walking away from situations that would normally land anyone else behind bars. Think about it. Anytime something serious happens in other cities, like in Atlanta or New York, it turns into a major investigation, sometimes even a RICO case. But in Houston? Nothing. No charges, no heat, just silence. That's what makes Charleston believe this isn't coincidence. It's cooperation. He explains it using something called Occam's razor, the idea that the simplest explanation is usually the right one. And for him, the simplest answer is clear: Mob Ties stays untouched because they're working with the very same people who should be holding them accountable. That's why they don't face RICO charges, he says. You can't get charged by the people you're working with. To Charleston, this setup gives them an unfair kind of power, the type that comes from feeling protected. He says they can move however they want because they know someone high up will make sure the consequences never reach them. That's not strength, he says, that's dependency. He also calls out what he sees as hypocrisy. According to him, Mob Ties only flexes power over their own people. They'll tell a Black artist or influencer to check in before coming to Houston, he says, but they'd never say that to someone like Taylor Swift or a major industry executive. Charleston argues that if they really had that kind of control, they'd apply it equally. But since they don't, he says it's clear they're picking and choosing who to pressure, and it's always their own community that feels it most. That, to him, makes their whole image look weak, not powerful. And that's why he's speaking out. Whether people agree with him or not, Charleston says someone has to challenge what he calls anti-Black intimidation. He's urging more voices to call out what's wrong instead of staying quiet out of fear. If you're gonna demand respect, he says, it should be across the board, not just when it's convenient. He ends his message with a challenge and a call for change. Either everyone gets treated the same, or this entire check-in culture needs to end for good. Love him or hate him, you can't deny it. Charleston White knows how to make people listen.